afternoon to all of us. Let me also go ahead to say good morning and good evening to all of us. Perhaps there are some team members who are connected, from outside Ghana. And so we want to welcome all of you to this next edition of our Sedat Digest program. Today we'll be discussing an interesting topic, and I have a team member here, Regina, who will be helping us to do justice to this particular topic. Um, just before I introduce Regina to the team and to all of us, I also want to acknowledge all our viewers and to thank you for your continuous participation, you know, towards this particular program and plan. You make us always come your way, with these programs. If you are not there, this program is not there. So we want to thank you so much for always making it a point to be a part of this program. We really appreciate that. Um, so I have Regina here, but just before I introduce Regina to the team, let's take a few adverts and then we'll be back. We'll take a breather and then we'll be back shortly.
This would say that exit interviews are the communication or the process we conduct when an employee is leaving, when an employee has resigned, when an employee is leaving an organization. With this said, the
Hello, Regina. Hello, Regina. Okay, so
Hello.
sorry, I could hear you, but your line
Sorry.
breaking. I don't know if you can hear me.
Okay, I can hear you.
Okay, all right. So I just took a moment to acknowledge our viewers and then also ask for a breather to enable you join so that we could introduce you as well. Since you are on, let me allow you to begin to introduce yourself so that our participants, our viewers can know who Regina is. So Regina, please, in a moment, kindly introduce yourself to us.
Okay, so my name is Regina 𝐀𝐝𝐦𝐢𝐬𝐬𝐢𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐻𝐻. I'm an HR professional. I currently work with 𝐁𝐝𝐻𝐬𝐬𝐢𝐬𝐬𝐢𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬 I think briefly, that's what I can say about myself. Kojo, can you hear me?
I can hear you very well. Thank you so much, Regina. So we can begin. But viewers, let me quickly again indicate that this program is brought your way by Sedat Consult. Sedat Consult is into various HR consultancy services, and they are ever ready to support you with all your HR needs. And you simply have to consult them. All right, Regina. So we'll begin with the very first question, if you are ready. And we'll begin with the very first question. Like I mentioned, viewers, today we are talking about exit interviews. So Regina will tell us about what exit interviews are, and then their primary objective for it being conducted, and how it contributes to organizational growth. So Regina, if you can hear me, please help us do justice to what exit interview is. The
Okay.
objective in it and how it contributes to organizational growth. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, 𝐀𝐝𝐦𝐢𝐬𝐬𝐢𝐨, and good evening to everyone. Um, so I think it's an honor here to have this presentation on exit interview. I know once people are joining us in a company, we have our normal interviews. So if people are going, how do we call it? We say it is an exit interview. So we'll first define what an exit interview, meaning that it is the process we conduct when an employee is leaving an organization. So briefly, you are coming in, we interview you. You are going out, we interview you. So exiting, we interview you to understand something. So the primary objective of us doing an exit interview is to gather feedback. When you are leaving, we actually want to understand why you are leaving. Okay. And then you give us your reasons for leaving and then some suggestions on how we can improve the system. Because I know you might have A, B, C, or one or two reasons why you are leaving. So we would want to understand why you have worked with a company for, let's say, 5, 10 years, and then just all of a sudden you want to know. We want to know the reason behind it. The how it contributes to organizational growth is that once we are able to identify an area we need to work on, it helps the organization to improve upon it, which would probably help to curb turnover. Because if employee A complains of one, employee B complains of the same thing, then it means that it's something that is within the organization that we need to really work on to improve the system. Once we're able to do that, it's going to enhance employee retention as well, and then it's going to improve our workplace culture. Sometimes we work in organizations that we say the environment is so toxic. So once we do the exit interview and we are able to understand what really is causing that or what really people are saying about this culture, it helps us to work on that culture. And then if not totally eliminate it, gradually we'll be able to work on it and then keep that toxic culture. So briefly, that's what I would say about the objective and then how it contributes to organizational growth.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, I think I like the bit about the data we get from our exit interview helps us to determine a certain trend, and so that helps us to be able to find even the root cause of our turnovers, enabling our organization to make improvements in retention, in engagement, in culture, just like Regina rightly mentioned. Regina, so thank you for that quick introduction. Now, you have worked for so many years, and so based on your experience, what are some of the most common reasons employees would give when they want to leave an organization, and how should HR respond to these patterns?
Okay, so one of the most common one is when it has to do with compensation and benefits. So people would apply for other jobs because they are going to be paid more than what they are taking here. So people leave because of compensation and benefits. In that, as an HR person, it means that we should be able to review and adjust our salaries, our compensation packages to remain competitive on the market. Sometimes we think we are doing so well, but if you are not able to carry out a salary survey to understand what our competitors are doing, we'll just be static wherever we are. Some of the reasons too has to do with lack of career growth and opportunities. There are some people who have worked in the same position for 10 good years, no promotion, no training, and no training on for them. And these people do the same routine job and they are fed up. It's like you come to work, you take this file, you sign, you do. They've been doing that for 10 good years and they
Mm,
are not okay with it. With this career opportunities. We are supposed to develop employees, because if you've been there for 10 years and you haven't even received a single training as an employee, ask yourself, what are you adding? Is it worth is it worth it being at the same organization for all these years? Why don't you move to another organization where at least you know you can learn, you can grow again, and you know there'll be promotions and other things. So people leave because of lack of career opportunities in the organization. Others too would leave because of poor management. They
Yeah.
think that the managers or their bosses, the leadership style is so bad, it's so uncomfortable. They don't know how to talk to employees. Their the behavior to employees is so bad. Not everybody will be able to take that. So people will want to leave because of poor management as well. And then
Sometimes
also,
we even say that
yeah,
people don't, leave organizations. They leave their bosses, or they change, their
be a
bosses,
change.
and
Exactly.
and that's
There are some bosses you can never please.
yeah.
There are some bosses you can never please. You can never, you do whatever it is, you can never please them. Sometimes I think it's because of their leadership style and then
Mm,
how they communicate their targets to the employees. And
mm,
some too would want to leave because of work-life balance. There are some organizations and some positions, once you go in, you cannot even take your leave. You're always taking leave pay. They are just paying you to stay on, but then you can't take leave. You don't even have time for yourself. You don't have time for family. People look at this and ask themselves, is it worth it? I have a family to take care of. And this
mhm,
job has taken me so far from this family. Is it worth it? I don't have
yeah.
time for my kids' weekend that you can have for your family. You are still
Mm,
working. Is it worth it? Why don't you get to a job that is more stable, that you do just Monday to Friday, and then
mm,
Saturday, Sunday, you know you are with the family? Or why don't you get a job that can give you flexibility? At least you have probably some days you can take off in the week, some days you can work from home. People look at all these things, and these are some of the reasons they would want to leave.
absolutely. So she spoke about, career growth, or development opportunities, instances where people have been in the same organization for so long and there is no training, there is no growth. Definitely, they may want to seek growth outside. She spoke about compensation, and this is quite important because someone said, what is better than money is more money. So, people will definitely want to change
You
their
know,
jobs.
exactly.
Talk to me.
And you know that we are never satisfied. We are never
Absolutely.
satisfied as human. Definitely. You get
Absolutely.
this job, you are being paid this, but then as time goes on, our needs and wants changes and you want, have the progression.
Definitely.
So definitely,
Definitely. I don't know if you
exactly.
have heard this other phrases. They say that what money cannot do, more money can do.
I'm hearing this for the first time.
And so
True.
when people
Mm,
are exposed to some of these compensations and benefit, definitely they will want to leave you. She spoke about leadership practices as well, where the leaders can make the environment very toxic for you. You simply don't want to continue
mm,
working. And then she spoke about work-life balance as well, which is so important. All right, so there are instances where some employees still may be hesitant, and then as part of their reasons, they won't give you any reason. For some of them, they may just say personal reason. And in situations where the employee did not build relationship with their leaders or their line managers, sometimes they even lie to them about why they are hesitant. Regina has spoken about the fact that exit information um, is used for several decisions for retention purposes. So in situations where the data that is being given is inaccurate, then it means that the outcomes of the data may not be as it's supposed to be. Now we are
yeah.
talking about leadership, for which reason some people may leave. So, Jana, can you throw a little light on relationship with managers and relationship with team members to avoid some of these things where exiting employees will lie to their managers that they are traveling abroad, and you will see them at La Paz after they have exited. And it has happened to me before. This lady resigned from a department, and she said that she was traveling abroad. The business negotiated with her and all of that. She said no. And over a period of time, you will find him in town, and you find her in town, she's at La Paz, walking over there. Meanwhile, the reason she gave was that she wanted to travel. So what can managers do, or how should managers relate with their team members, so that some of these things can be avoided for us to have a true data for proper decision making.
So you see that if the manager has a very cordial relationship with the employee
Mm.
or his members, it makes life easier. Some are able to open up. I recently
Yeah.
had an interview with an employee and somebody who was joining us, and then I asked, "Is your boss aware you want to change jobs?" He said, "Yes, my boss actually gave me permission to come." I was like, "Are you sure? Should I call your boss?" He said, "Yes." So you can see the relationship between this person and the boss. I've also had instances that the employee told the boss that the boss is aware that the employee is looking for a job. And then the boss said, "Yes, I actually gave you permission to come." So you see that relationship between the employee and the boss
Hi,
is
Regina. I
very
think
good.
we you are breaking. So I think you are breaking. Yes, you are back.
Oh,
You are going to cite an
okay.
example of
Okay.
an instance. You said an instance where an employee, and then that was about it. So if you can come back on that, I'm
Oh,
sure it's
okay.
an
So I
interesting
was I
story.
was giving I was giving an instance where recently I interviewed someone who,
Mm.
so after the interview, I asked him, "Is your boss aware? Won't there be a vacant role? Is your boss aware you are coming for an interview?" He said, "Yes." Then I asked, "Wow, your boss said you should go for an interview." He said, "Yes." I asked permission, and then my boss said I can go for the interview. Then I asked, "Well, are you not that relevant in the organization?" He said he was, but he had to tell the boss the truth. So with this person, you see, they have a good rapport. He has a good rapport with the boss. Not all bosses are like that. There are some bosses you can't even relate and tell them what you're feeling,
Mm.
what is going. You can't tell them because once you tell them, you'll be victimized, or they will tell other people. So you prefer to stay calm, not tell them the where whatever the issue is. So
Yeah.
with this instance, normally I would say that when it comes to the exit interview, it is the bosses are not able to do it. It is the HR who is supposed to do that. So you have the HR can ensure confidentiality, but probably with your
Mm.
boss, he can't ensure confidentiality. So you would always want to, not be so clean or not be so clear with your boss and tell the boss for the fear of being victimized. And then
Absolutely.
yeah, for the fear of being victimized, and then probably rumors too. And then when the bosses know that you are going to company A or B, they want to go behind and stab you. We've had scenarios like that as well. So better to
That's
be
true.
on the safer side. You wouldn't want to tell your boss what the actual thing is. But then if the HR is able to assure you of confidentiality and let you understand that whatever details they are gathering, it is for a good purpose. Yes, you are going. We can't do anything about it. But just be open. Let us know why you are leaving so that it will help us in the future. We can keep certain issues that we have in the organization.
Absolutely. Okay, so you've mentioned HR, taking the lead in exit interview, and that's hitting it on the nail. So what strategies can HR use to ensure exit interviews are open, they are candid, while maintaining a respectful and non-confrontational tone?
So with this, once the HR should be able to, assure the employee that whatever information you are given is not going to be used against you.
Mhm.
Whatever information you are sharing with us is going to remain confidential. Nobody else is going to, hear of it. You would also want to assure the employee that whatever information you are gathering, it is for a good purpose. It is for a good cause. It
Mm-hmm.
is to help the organization. It is to stop the turnover. It is to help retain employees as good as whoever is leaving. So the
Mm-hmm.
HR should also do this and also remain, calm. You're not
Mm-hmm.
supposed to. I would say when people are leaving, that's not the place to be objective and then be blaming others. No, that's not the time for you to do that,
Mm.
because he or she is leaving. So you just listen. You don't We say listen, you don't judge. You
Yeah,
listen, you don't judge. Exactly.
absolutely.
You listen, you don't judge. You
Mm.
just be open. Just have an active listening. Let the person know that yes, you empathize with him or her, and
Mm.
then the information you need is to help a cause, and
So
you are
that's
good
not
to
the
go.
time that the HR is explaining why the business did this
No,
and why the
no,
business is. You just have to allow
no.
the person to flow. It should just flow while you gather the data, from
Exactly,
the course
exactly,
of whatever
exactly,
you are doing.
exactly.
Absolutely.
Because you can't do anything. Once you have made up your mind you are leaving,
That's
you
true.
can't change it. Because
That's
before
true.
we start the exit interview, it means that talks have gone on probably for you to
Mm.
stay. And then
Mm.
after all the talk, you still insist you want to go. It is not
Absolutely.
me finally coming to tell you that you should
Mm.
stay. So you
Mm.
just be calm and listen. Sometimes it is difficult because the things
Yeah.
the person will be saying, you want to be defensive, but you can't. You just have to listen. Just listen and then, say, oh, we are sorry. Just be empathetic and listen actively. Exactly.
Absolutely.
And then
Absolutely.
you're good to go. Yeah.
All right. So it takes me to my next question then. So, what is the best time, to conduct an exit interview to ensure that it yields the honest and the useful feedback that you require as an HR professional?
Okay. Some would say the last week
Yeah, I think you gave a
of
clue
the
in your
person.
earlier.
Sorry.
I think you gave a clue in your earlier response that, at this time, the HR would have engaged the employee on some negotiations or renegotiations and all of that. So by the time you are doing this interview, the employee is almost gone, and that was already a clue, the timing for the exit interview. So if you can throw more light on the time for the exit interview.
So it could be the last week
Mm.
or the last day the person is leaving.
Okay.
Ideally, he or she would have handed over properly.
Mhm.
Talks have gone on and all that. And I, Regina, say, I am still leaving. So there's
Mm.
nothing you can do about it. And so the last week probably would want to finalize whatever it is, do the exit interview. Then you can start handing over. And whatever issues you have, had, it is still fresh in your mind. So you can be able to talk about it, speak about it very well. And then during that last day or the last week, the HR can pick some cues in it and start at least working on something for the organization. Yeah,
Absolutely. Absolutely. So basically, we should be looking at the last week or the last, working
that's
day,
it.
just like Regina said. I think for some businesses, the exit interview is done alongside you know,
Handing
the
over.
the handing over. Exactly. So definitely, you may want to do that at the last week or the last working day, just like Regina has recommended. All right. So um, the next question then. So in your view, I think you've already answered this question. The question says that, in your view, who is the best suited to conduct exit interview? The employee's line manager, an HR representative, or an external consultant, and why? But you've already answered that the
Good, yeah.
HR is usually the best option. So let me go to the next question. So, how should HR handle exit interviews when the departing employee is visibly upset, angry, or dissatisfied? And sometimes that happens. The person is very much upset. They simply want to go. What is this one too? So,
Exactly. Exactly. Some will even tell you, I don't want to do it. I don't want to.
Absolutely.
You have
Yeah.
to just beg them and then let them do it. So it's all about you letting the person understand the reason behind why you are doing that, and giving the
Absolutely.
person an assurance that whatever information he or she is sharing is going to be held confidential and
Confidential.
is not going to be used against him or her. And
Mm.
as I rightly said earlier, stay calm, listen. This is not the time to become objective and then defending. No, just calm. It's like someone who is so angry coming to you. You don't meet the person with anger. You stay
Mm.
calm and listen to the person. You
Mm.
know, two boiling waters is not the best. Let the person, pour his heart out, talk all he wants to talk. Just listen. As an HR professional, just listen. It's tough
Mm.
sometimes because we know whatever the person is saying might not be true, but that is not the time for you to be defensive. Just listen
Absolutely.
and then, yeah, listen and then pay particular attention and assure the person. And then, give the person some comfort that we are so sorry these happened and we were not aware. We empathize with you. And, you also wish the person the very best in his future endeavor. That's it.
Absolutely. All right. So before we take our next question, we are going to take a breather. Again, we want to acknowledge all our viewers, all of you who are participating in this session. Again and again, we want to thank you so much for joining today's edition. If you just joined us, we are talking about exit interviews and then its importance, the essence of exit interviews. Now, so that consult comes your way this month of August. In fact, the first day in August, Sadat Consult is coming your way with HR Digest soiree, and the price tag is just 200 Ghana cedis. Those of you who are around for the very first edition, you can testify. It was time to network. It was time for fun. It was time for learning at you know at I think it was even less than 200 Ghana cedis, or just a little above that. But this time around, it's 200 cedis. You can register your team members, yourself and your team members, and ensure that you are around for the HR the CDAT HR digest soiree. That is really important. We've been in the office throughout the whole year. It's time for us to relax, reconnect, and recharge. You actually deserve it. So make some time. First August, and we'll be having it at the British Council Auditorium from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. The same place we had the first edition. And so please book this in your calendar and let's meet. The next one I want to talk about is the Kids Leadership Academy. This is for those who are between the ages of 6 to 19 years. Basically, it's a program that is being organized by Sedat Council to develop future leaders. Today you need to register, and so you simply have to call Sedat Consult on 059 140 5555. You can also reach them on 0244 Now, the last but not least, there is an upcoming program on using analytics to measure HR's contribution. This program has been organized by SEDAT from time to time, and those of you who have attended this program can testify to that. The upcoming one is from 29th to 31st July. The program is a 3-day program, and the price tag is 3,600 Ghana cedis. So register with Sedat. The number is 0244 and then be a part of this particular program. All right, so welcome back, Regina. Thank you so much for the insights you have shared with us so far. Moving on, we want to find out There are many questions, to ask to generate most actionable and honest feedback during an exit interview. So, what type of questions should we ask as HR professionals so that it can elicit the kind of actionable and honest feedback that we want for our decisions?
Okay. So I would say the exit interview, some of the questions, it shouldn't be a lengthy one like 4 pages, 5 pages.
Mhm,
Sometimes people filling these forms, they don't want all these pages. It should be brief, precise, and concise. So some of the questions could be, what are the reasons for you leaving? You can have, what did you enjoy most about your job? We want to understand how you liked your job. Then you
mhm,
could also ask, what we could have done to keep you, because we
mhm.
want to understand why you are leaving and what we could have done at least to keep you on the job. And then would
Absolutely.
also want to explain you to write, how would you describe your experience working with us? Was it a
Mhm.
hostile environment you had? Was it a good environment? Whatever it is, you can just put it in writing for us. Then
Yeah,
we can also ask, what are the suggestions you have in mind for us to improve the system? We keep it
absolutely.
brief. Out of that, we'll be able to get some detailed feedbacks which we can use to help us going forward. So it's just some brief. If it's just a page or just front and back page, it's enough. It's
Mm.
enough. But at least on the form, you can have the name of the person, department head. Those informations are there. But we should keep
Yeah,
the questions simple and brief.
absolutely. Some other recommendations as well. We also have to avoid yes and no questions because those questions would generate limited insight. And so
Exactly.
if
True.
we ask them open ended questions,
That
then
questions.
there's the opportunity for them to talk so that we
True.
can generate the information that we
Informations.
absolutely. One or two more questions that we can as well add. I don't know if Regina spoke about, but what prompted your decision to leave? And then would you recommend this company to a friend? Why or why not? These are also some of the questions that we
We
can,
can add.
add to our exit interviews to elicit the responses that we may be interested in for our decision making. All right. So, Ijana, how can an organization systematically analyze and utilize exit data to improve employee engagement and reduce turnover?
Okay, I would say that, over the time you've done exit interviews, there are
Mhm,
some few issues in them that will be repetitive.
mhm,
So you as an HR person should be able to identify those issues that are repetitive, and then you will be able to have a plan around it and draw a strategy on how to address those issues. Okay. And
mhm,
once these issues have come up, it means it is not seated with one person. It means it sits with everybody. So if these issues have come up, then it is something we need to address as an organization. Once we
mhm,
put a plan in place, we identify whatever patterns or trends there is, we develop an action plan to that. If we're able to develop the action plan, communicate to management, meet them, and let them understand that from all the data we have collected from our exit interview, it shows one, two, three, four reasons. These four reasons, I have been able to put them into actionable points, which we need to resolve
mhm.
ASAP or within a particular time. And then
Absolutely.
once we are able to resolve this, we should be able to communicate to employees that these are the things we have put in place. Yes, we recognize there's A, B, and C issues here, and we've been able to identify that, and that we are going to do A, B, and C. Let
Mm.
employees see the actions you are taking. Let them speak for you so that you can be able to retain the few people you have and then keep that retention, that turnover rate in the organization. So whatever
Mm.
feedback you get, make sure you work on it and then put action plans in place and then let employees understand that this is what you are doing. I think once you are able to do that, employees sees their changes and all that, people would see changes in the organization and probably they would want to remain in the organization. And this will keep our turnover rate as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. Um, employees are, one of our major stakeholders, from whom we can gather data for running our organization. You can't sideline their views. You can't sideline their thoughts. And so, exit interview definitely is one of the platforms that you can use to gather information from employees. And organizations will do internal surveys and all of that, from time to time to gather data. But I think that exit interviews, people at the end of the day, they are leaving. So if you are fortunate, they can tell you a lot. They
Yeah.
can tell you a lot. They have nothing
They
to
pour
lose.
they pour their heart.
Yeah, yeah, they can pour their hearts to you. So just like she said, information you have gathered over a period of time can help you to, come up with some trend analysis and all of that. But the important thing is what she spoke about, that you share the insights, with management, you share the insights with relevant stakeholders so that they get to know why are people leaving. And then some interventions can be put in place for us to, be able to retain our employees or to increase our retainership moving on. All right. I think we have just about two more questions to go. Okay, so Jaina, what are some of the key red flags or warning signs that HR should watch for during an exit interview that may require immediate attention or escalation?
Okay. I would say safety concerns.
Okay.
You work in an environment where you think management is so not bothered about your safety. Um, I once worked in a steel industry, and if you know how the steel industry is, it's not the best because the fumes that comes out. I remember one of the managers would always catch cold, and he also was with a manufacturing company, which was a clean environment. And then when he joined the steel environment, I just told him, "Welcome. This is not a clean environment, so just gather gather momentum." So every time he was catching cold, every time he was catching cold, going to the hospital, it was so bad, very very bad. So with this, he had a safety concern, and then he had to leave because he could no longer. And the longer you stay, your lungs, because you are smoking it in. So once you feel you cannot stay
The
there, you
sound
have to leave.
alone, the sound and all. Wow.
The heat, the heat. Most of the guys will tell you that, "Madam, please, the heat is not good for us. We are not able to have babies again."
Oh,
you know, yeah, so you are melting over 1,500 degrees Celsius. So the heat, and there's no amount of safety apparel you can use to cover your frontage. No, you have leather, but still the heat is still intense. So such environments, when they raise such red flags, as management or as a company, we need to look at how best we can help resolve. So if it has to do with smoke, how best can we have chimneys that can, extract the smoke further into the sky and not like, in the factory circulation, that we need
yeah.
to look at it. And when there's issues of harassment, could be sexual, it could be anything, it's a red flag. You really need to investigate into that and work out on that. And when you have some legal issues as well, like you have certain misconduct as well, like threats from managers, that they tell you, I'm going to deal with you, I'm going to deal with you. I know how to get you out. Managers, when they're angry, some managers
Yeah.
would say anything to scare you. And when such things come up as an HR professional, you should be able to look into it and then, work at it and ensure the right thing is done. The right thing is
Absolutely.
done. And a manager or a boss will tell you, you're a woman, you are nothing here. Your voice is not, needed here. If a boss tells you that, it's a red flag. It has legal implication. We are talking about equity. I have my degree, somebody hasn't. Why will you refer me as I'm a woman? So with that, you don't regard me in that, you know, I can't be on the table with a man. It is not the best. It's a red flag that we need to really look at it as HR professionals. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So she spoke about safety. She spoke about uh, unethical behaviors. She spoke about harassment. I think the last one that I would add to is where you realize that more and more people are resigning from a particular department or unit. If another resignation comes, another exit is triggered immediately. You want to look into that because then it becomes a trend. So you want to look into that. All right. So let's take our final question, and then if there are any other questions from our viewers, we will take them. So, Jana, please share with us a specific instance where insight from an exit interview led to a meaningful change within the organization, wherever you have worked.
Okay. I would say we had a sales manager whose team were just resigning, resigning, resigning. And it was it wasn't the best because he's been there for probably months. And then just within that month, six people in a department, and you had three people going just like that. And those three people have worked with the organization for over 5 years. So what is triggering this? We realized that the way he handled his stuff was very bad out of the exit interview. He won't give you clear targets and all that. So communication was very bad as well. And then he had anger issues as well.
Mm,
So with this, it was up to management of the business to decide on what to do. Are you going to do away with this manager? Because he was also, when he goes out, he's able to meet customers and bring in a lot of money for us. So we had to engage the person into some leadership training, coaching over a period of time. And I would say the last three are still in the system. I'm no longer with them, but they are still in the system. And then before I left, so we had recruited other two people who are still in the system for over 2 years. They are still working. And you can see that that manager now has a very cordial relationship with his team members. And
mm,
that's bossy shouting, some other culture bringing here. Our cultures are different. So if it works in Asia, it doesn't work in Ghana. And Ghanaians, we love respect, we love honesty, and we had to coach him because I would always advise that most businesses, when you have this intercultural people in the organization, when they come, my previous company, we used to have culture training for them so they would understand where they are
mm,
working, the country in which they are working. Because somewhere, excuse me to say, you can use the F word on your employee, it is fine with them. But in Ghana, you don't use that F word here. Nobody will do that. And then you talk with your employee and you're always giving the file with your left. Our culture doesn't demand that. You don't do that. And then shouting on people unnecessarily, it is not accepted. So you have to take them through, some coaching and let them understand the culture so they'll be able to relate well with their employees. I think that was
mm,
done and it was okay. It was
mm,
very okay. And the other thing I also say is that an employee who had been with the company for like 15 plus years recently resigned. And his reason was that yes, the company is training him, they take him out for training and all that. But he's bored. He's been doing the same thing over and over and over, and he's bored. He just wants to change. So he just resigned. Out of this, we're able to understand that yes, we centered him on just one project. But ideally, if you're a group of engineers, you don't say you are solely in charge of A, you should be able to rotate them. Once you do a job rotation, they are able to have some other inclination to the job. They love doing it. So you are an engineer, you are able to do A, B, C. It helps everybody because when A is not there, B can do the job. So even as an organization, we don't suffer that much. It gave us an understanding of how we should be able to rotate these engineers in the engineering department. Now, say currently the team we have are happy and then enjoying what they are doing now.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that example, or two examples actually. I also have a couple of examples, but I'll share one. This time around, again, it was it was with the sales department, because of their targets and all of that. Sometimes you find some of
Yeah.
these things. A couple of people had left the department, and as a business, we had a conversation with the department head on reasons that the exited employees had given, which bordered around his management style also. Now, apart
Mm,
from training interventions that were given to the manager, we also that insight also helped us to moving forward um, look for a certain caliber of candidates or a certain
mm,
class of candidates, so that in case they came, we know the strength, the weaknesses, and all of that, and it helped
mhm,
us. I think the very last interview we did and the last recruitment we did, the candidates in question has been in the space for a while, and the feedback has been good. Partly
great.
because the data we had from the exit interviews helped with providing interventions for the manager, and it's also helped
Mm,
in our recruitment process in terms of getting the right fit, somebody who could withstand some of these things, and also someone who was or someone who is emotionally intelligent and can deal with situations like that. So definitely, exit interviews, information from exit interviews help a lot,
true.
in our HR operations. So let me take the final words from Regina, but before that, I want to quickly acknowledge some viewers in the in the chat box. Yes, I have Alex Alex Adi from Tema. Alex, thank you so much for joining. I also have Desmond Fifi Sechi. Desmond, thank you so much for joining. Alex is asking, who do you administer exit interview on retirees or those sacked? So if you are sacking somebody, Alex, definitely you know the reason why you are sacking the person. So you wouldn't have to go through an exit interview. Usually you do it for voluntary exit. So all forms of voluntary exit, you do exit interview for them. So in terms of resignations, you would have to, do exit interviews for them. Of course, if when someone is retiring, you can as well want to perhaps they will give you some insight into the business, not necessarily because they are leaving, but insights that the company can work with. But usually, it's on resignations, um, when you want to. Regina, you want to add anything to that?
No, I think yeah, that's it. Retirees, even before you retire,
Yeah,
6 months by the time we start,
yeah, the
we
process.
start with the consult. Yes, exactly. The process starts, and then um, you don't really do exit interview for them because already you know
Yeah,
why they are going. They are retiring.
yeah,
So it is
absolutely.
for those who are resigning that we
Mm,
actually do, so we can
mm,
get insights, get information, and then work on those informations.
absolutely. All right, John, let's take your final words on this subject, and then we can bring our discussion to a close.
Okay, so my final words would be that. Exit interviews are not supposed to be harsh. They are just a way of understanding why or discussing why an employee is leaving an
Mhm.
organization. Exit interview, when it's done very well, helps the organization to retain its employees. It
Mhm.
reduces turnover. Exit interviews, once you have the employee seated and the HR to do the interview, it is not a time for you to be so defensive
Mhm.
and be objective. It is for you to listen. Listen attentively. You stay calm. Don't be judgmental. Don't try to defend anything. Just listen and allow the employee to pour the heart out and to tell you things that you might not even know. Exit interviews, when it is done well, it helps the organizations very well.
Actually.
And you don't have to use those feedback to victimize employees. Keep them confidential as it's supposed to be. HR professionals are supposed to keep information confidential and work on it. Ensure you tell the employee who is exiting, give them the assurance that whatever information you are taking from them is strictly confidential and you be used very well. And then whatever you have come up with, the issues identified, work on it. Have an action plan to it and let employees be aware, because employees are your greatest stakeholders as well. To let them be able to understand and know what you are doing on the issues that you have identified, and then be communicating to them on the successes you have been able to chalk as well. On that
Yeah.
note, I would say thank you so much.
Wow. Thank you so much, Regina, for all the insights that you have shared with us. For me, I want to add that, you know, while exit interview is so important, we also have to conduct stay interviews, especially for employees that we have identified as um, high talent. We need to conduct stay interviews with them. We need to know what is making them stay rather than to always want to wait till they are leaving before we conduct an exit interview. If we do a stay interview, then we want to keep them. So let's add that to the interviews that we conduct for our employees by way of getting data from them. Once again, want to thank Sadat Consult for putting this together. We want to thank the IT team for the technology behind this. And then we also want to thank Regina so much for joining us this afternoon and sharing all of the insights that she has shared with us. Regina, thank you very much. We are very
Thank
sure
you
that
so much,
another
Pedro.
time, very soon, we'll have you again on another topic. And then
Sure.
our viewers,
Sure.
thank you so much for always joining this, insightful discussions. Because you are there, we can always come your way with these programs. All right. So until we meet again, we want to say bye bye to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Pedro and the team. Thank you.
All right. So Fifi, you are asking that how can organizations protect themselves from legal risk during exit interviews? I think that was Regina answered that question. You also are asking what are the best practices for making employees feel comfortable during an exit interview. HR would usually do this exit interview, and not the line manager. It is best that HR does it. And so, if HR can reassure the people that the data they are collecting is for a particular purpose, and to help to make the place better, the system better. That should give um, the exiting employee the comfort to want to share, so much information with the business. Usually, it is your supervisor you don't want to say much to, but if HR comes in and then you know he gives you the indication that this is for purposes of making the system better, not for victimization whatsoever, but to make the system better, then we should be able to feel comfortable and give them the information. All right, Andrew, I'm just seeing your comment. You said very insightful. Thank you so much. All right, so team, like I said earlier, we will come your way another time. Thank you very much. Our time is up, and that's all we can take for now.